welcome back. I'm Rachel. This is Amanda, the book Mavens. And
that was different.
Yeah, sorry. I kind of flung it in there.
I got distracted because it was different.
Okay.
I like it.
Anyway, moving on. So we are going to be finishing our Maas versus Maas versus Maas discussion, in which we actually do compare and contrast all three series. You got a little bit of it kind of scattered throughout our basic discussions of each book, but we're really going to get into the nitty-gritty and where we think 2 out of the 3 series are going. As Throne of Glass is a completed series, or is it?
Wait, is it? It is. What do
Okay.
you know?
I know nothing. I'm Jon Snow. I know nothing, but sorry, Game of Thrones reference. But there are crossover references among all 3 series. So, could we get some more from Throne of Glass, or whether or not there's knowledge that happens from there to come back? I don't really know. I would like it if there were. There's a part of me that would love to revisit certain characters, but I just Throne of Glass ended so well that it's hard for me. Like they're at peace. Like it makes me nervous to bring them back into something warlike. But there are many Easter eggs that people think are going to be connected, and so one of the books that they think actually a lot of Easter eggs are is this one. And so that's why I said I think I want to give it a reread, because I've seen a lot referenced in Silver Flames in terms of how this culmination is going to happen. But there's a lot of stuff in here. So I want to reread it.
I will wait for you to reread it and report back.
I will. All right. So anyway.
All right. So we're just going to go through some highlights. We picked out a couple categories to compare, and we're going to start with the obvious, the best lead characters, male and female. So shall we start? They're all very female driven.
They are.
So shall we start with the best female character?
That's a tough one, because I think Maas writes
they're all good
women very, very well. I think that she wrote her best characters in Throne of Glass. Although I will say that I think Bryce is a well-developed character.
I think Bryce is definitely going to be up there in terms of like complexity of character and complexity of growth. She's going to be right up there.
I enjoyed reading her.
Yeah, I did. And I still, maybe I will. I don't know. Go back and watch the last video. We're up in the air about the 3rd book. We'll see. I mean, I'll probably read it.
You're going to read it. Quit reading yourself.
I will, but...
Because I'll just be like, Amanda.
She'll just taunt me about it.
And then she'll do it.
She'll bully me into it.
Peer pressure.
Just kidding. It's positive peer pressure if it's about books.
Yes.
I'll leave it there. So, okay. I'm going to go Aelin.
All right. I think Aelin's a great character.
For the female character, sorry. I should clarify. I'm going to go Aelin.
I will still stick with my girl Manon. I do think, even though in terms of lead, I don't know. Manon gets a lot of page coverage when she's introduced and as she moves through the books. I think Manon was a really well-developed character. And I like how her character evolves through the stories and what she becomes from where she started. And I think just her journey was probably the most interesting to read about. And I really enjoyed it.
See that for me, but about Aelin.
Aelin.
Sorry, there's a lot. Aelin.
Oh no, okay, her journey is fabulous. It is, but there's something.
I will say there is something to be said about the definition of lead character, particularly in Throne of Glass, where you're jumping from place to place with different groups.
I mean, if you just want to compare with our 3 main lead females, so you would have Aelin, Feyre, and Bryce.
Yeah.
I would choose Aelin.
I would go
Aelin, Bryce. And then Feyre.
Ooh, see, I don't know. I might agree with you, Bryce, and then
I think I made you think from the comment from the when I was telling you about what she does. See,
you did, but here's the thing. I feel like Bryce and Aelin are more comparable because their books are plot-driven romance second. And Fairy is very tied into the romantic relationship for me. So I feel like in some ways there's a very different arc because they're both very independent of the romance.
And you also get a first-person perspective.
True.
Feyre, and I think that...
So I don't know that comparing the three was
changes.
necessarily fair, but I'm going to do it anyway.
It's a subjective thing anyway.
Yeah,
It doesn't really
I'm gonna
matter.
Go, yeah, I agree. I'm gonna go Aelin, Bryce, Feyre.
Feyre just is she's... There are things that I like about her, and things that I don't. Amanda and I were talking before we filmed this video just about like Feyre and Tamlin. And I don't love Tamlin. I think that he makes a lot of really big mistakes. I don't love him, but I do think that he gets kind of a raw deal when Feyre goes back in the third book in Wings and Ruin and just decides to take out not Tamlin, even though Tamlin in that court was the only one who wronged her. Well, and then that horrible priestess. I get that too. I get both of those. I get it. I get wanting to make it personal. But what she does there is undermine his entire court, which means hundreds of people at that court end up dying.
Yeah.
Because of her vindictiveness. And so for me, and this is even through Feyre's eyes, that I don't think that's okay.
I think he knew I couldn't get him, so he just looked at me and then went to you.
And so anyway, but like with Feyre, something about that, even through her own perspective, because she does have feelings of guilt, but like her all of her interactions with Tamlin after that, like I understand why he's pissed off at that point because it moved beyond their personal issue.
I mean, she
does
destroy his court. Now,
that affected all of the courts.
I will say, in the comments, y'all are going to come for us and talk about how, he was siding with the baddies. Sure, but she's not wrong about the loss of life for the members of that court, which is, it's easy to not think about them because it's almost futile in its that it really just focuses around these like key members of the court.
Visited those villages. She visited those villages.
Yeah.
So, and just tells Alice, the only one there, to get out.
Yeah.
And see, some people really love Lucien and want to see his story. I never really cared about Lucien, so I never really worried about him. But I'm upset because that her actions caused all those people's deaths. And it bothers me that she puts, like, the people of Valaris who have experienced no tremendous hardship, even though the Spring Court did. All right. And are there things wrong about how the Spring Court runs with the tithing and all that stuff? Absolutely. Where Valaris people don't have to do that. But she comes to their aid and will do anything to protect these people. Why are those people more of value than the people in the Spring Court? I don't like how she kind of categorizes people of importance. And they're all people. They're all people who are lesser Fae when she says that she's going to champion, especially Rhys as well, to champion lesser Fae. And just allows it to happen. So for me, Feyre is going to be at the bottom for female protagonists, just based on her decision to do that, which was very short-sighted and yucky. It was icky to me. I don't like that she did that.
Yeah. I don't.
That was kind of a long explanation of all that, but like honestly, like that really bothered me. I just can't. I can't get past it. I can't get past it.
So best male lead character.
We're on the same boat with this one. It's going to be Rowan. It helps that I do picture Henry Cavill.
Yeah, that certainly doesn't hurt anything.
So in my mind, that is who I see.
Rowan's mature. He's independent. He's interesting. I like him, and I feel like we can just leave that there.
Well, I find
like him a lot.
his partnership with Aelin.
It's very mature.
To be the best written. It's the most well written. And I mean, I know people always say, oh, like Rhysand and Feyre.
I mean, it's a great romance, and that's what it is. Like, I think it's hard for me to compare the two relationships because they're written very differently, right? A Court of Thorns and Roses is a romance novel, so of course it's very heavy on the romance and the romantic gestures and that kind of stuff. And Throne of Glass is a very politically plot-driven book. Like, it's about a lost heir reclaiming her place. Like, it's
But it's not even just that. It's just, once again, sticking with the first person perspective. Yeah, I really liked Feyre and Rhys through the first 3 books, like together as a couple, even though Feyre kind of ruins it for me for the 3rd book. But when you hit Frost and Starlight and you're no longer in Feyre's perspective, and then you see their relationship from another lens, like, to me, there was no real recovery from that. And then even moving further into Silver Flames, like, as much as you can dislike Nesta, I think she makes fair criticisms of what she sees from other people.
She's very blunt.
She is. And I like that. I respect her for that.
She's blunt. Okay, best subplot. Or best, like, secondary story. Best subplot.
Gosh. Manon. With the witches. Just saying.
Mine is Manon and the Wyverns?
Well, I mean, that's
I never
all
said
of
it
her.
like I read it.
Well, if you're talking about subplots, that is her subplot. It's
No,
her
like,
through everything.
well, that, like, in terms of subplot, like, her with Abraxas and, like, that subplot of their relationship is my favorite subplot. It's the one I like.
But that's part of her entire storyline. I thought we were just going off of that.
No, but like how she chose him, that plot of like how they got the Wyverns, how she picked hers.
See, I'm just going
so
with
thread.
Manon's whole storyline.
No, that's my favorite subplot. Okay, well, if you want a whole okay, fine.
Because if we're just going to be talking about, like, beyond our main character stories.
Okay, then
those are
pick.
Yeah.
What's her face and what's his face? The one with the. Hold on. I'm gonna edit this out. I looked up her name. The birds.
Oh.
Nesrin and Sartok. Okay. And the bird. What are the birds called? Rook.
Yeah.
I had to look it all up last time. Okay. My favorite subplot is when Nesrin and Sartok go to visit, like, you know, their
storyline.
Yeah, their storyline with the Rooks. A little romance. I like it. That Nesrin was my sleeper favorite character. Like, she
never stood out.
She's
to me.
important, but like I liked her immediately, and then she just kept getting better, and then like Nesrin. Listen.
I really like Manon. I like her storyline with Dorian, with Abraxas, all of that. That's her subplot, her story that's going along the main line of Aelin's. So
I'm gonna say Nesrin. Well, Nesrin's is going along with Kate.
Oh, no, absolutely. That's a subplot, for sure.
Yeah. So I'm going with Nesrin and Sartok and the Rooks. I do like the birds' personalities. They got a lot of personality. The animal characters.
I do think, once again, in Throne of Glass, that all of those stories are just more developed. But there are more books, to be fair.
Yeah, there's a lot more books together, to be fair.
I mean, Kale's story, he did get his own book. I mean, I still liked everything with his development, his plot, how everything moved with him. I thought was well done. But Elite and Lorcan, fabulous.
Don't go stealing that from me now. That's going to be my favorite later down the list.
Oh, I don't know. Which one?
When we talk about favorite couples.
Oh, okay.
Listen, I mentioned that and Rachel jumped on it.
I did.
I just wanted to know, because usually what happens is I think I have an opinion and then Rachel has this really thoughtful, well thought out opinion, and I'm like, oh dang, I have Rachel's opinion. This one, no, I did this one.
It's a perfect grumpy sunshine trope.
Yeah. Okay, best couple.
Okay.
Lorcan and Elide. That's my favorite couple.
Mine, I feel like a broken record. Manon and Dorian. And there's a specific reason why. And it's because everybody talks about Mace. And some people really dislike that. And
I don't care about it. It's fine.
I think it's fine too. But like with Manon and Dorian, how they end things, where she is going to go off and be a leader of all of the covens and all of this, you know, it's a great position of power. And Dorian's going to be king of Ardalan. And that they have these responsibilities and that their two worlds can't interconnect without somebody giving something up. And so they agree to put these responsibilities ahead of their feelings for each other. And it's not that they say goodbye, it's that they reshape that relationship to something that allows them to be individuals. And I think that was masterful. And people might come for me for this. I don't want to see a happy ever after with Dorian and Manon. Some people want to
well,
see
here's my
something
thing.
with
At least not right now. I don't think that's
I don't
realistic.
think it ever needs to be there.
I think
he's still human.
Well, and I think them choosing what they've chosen for now is
I think that's
the more realistic. I liked it.
But it's not even for now. Why can't it just stay like that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't need to see it. I can imagine whatever future I want for them in my mind. But, like, it's definitely not something that could be resolved right now with the way things were left in a way that would make me feel satisfied. Like, because, again,
I just don't think every story needs to end with a marriage and babies.
They're rulers of people. They have responsibilities.
And I love that. And I love that that came before their relationship with each other. Like, I think that was written very well in an understandable way, and people can come for me if they want, but I'll
defend you.
I will die on that hill. I think that was the way that story needed to end.
And I loved working in the lead. They're not mates.
They also are not
which I like.
Up. You don't know what's going to happen with them.
They choose each other. You know he's going to go live in her kingdom, at her estate. I loved their whole relationship. I think she learned so much from him. He learned so much from her. That was my favorite to read because, listen, when she was giving him the
don't say
Alid. Sorry, Alid. When Alid was giving him the business because she was mad at him, girl. But also, then there were moments where they like had to calm her down. They're like, listen. One of my favorite scenes is where she's talking to one of the other members of that cadre, and he's like, you really need to stop kicking him while he's down. He's already down. You don't understand how blood oaths work. He literally has no choice, and you need to you can't make him feel worse than he already feels. You really need to stop kicking him while he's down. That's I really like that scene a lot. And then it kind of changes the way she sees him a little bit in his actions, which is, I liked it.
Well, I also love that he tears up his shirt for when she's menstruating. What a man.
I forgot about that on the boat.
She occasionally will throw out, I think she's done it. Has she done it across all three where she talks about having horrific period pains and how awful it is to be a woman? I think she's done it across all three.
This one.
She's done it with Aelin, when she gets her period again. I think it was in the first or second book, and Kale's like, "What's happening?" Thinking she's dying.
Yeah, men are dumb sometimes.
But that's so great. But Lorcan, being Mr. Grumpy, has been secretly shredding his shirts for her so she can take care of herself.
See?
And I love that. I thought that was really good. Yeah. I'm trying to remember if Bryce does.
I don't remember so far, but she's got a whole other book.
Does.
Sorry, he was sitting on the list. Now he's attacking the set. Okay.
It's fine. It's all good.
Strongest villain. Weakest villain. Strongest villain. Maeve.
Yeah,
that woman is
sure.
Absolutely depraved.
She's the most well developed.
She's nuts. Nuts. Okay, worst villain.
I think Amarantha is the worst developed.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that one.
And I can't say anything. I mean, I think Micah made a really good, kind of somewhat villain. Yeah.
I loved it.
And
well, because he was a plot twist. You didn't know that he was going to be
the big baddie.
The big baddie of that book.
But But we still, I don't think, even at the end of this, that we're really clear.
I don't know who the
big baddie is. So, Crescent City,
not real sure.
Not real sure. There's an overwhelming plot of menace.
Yeah.
But,
TBD, guys.
How all of that.
We'll see.
I mean, we know it's the Asteri to some degree.
But what does that mean? We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. We don't know. Okay, favorite individual book. I'm gonna go.
It's tough.
Kingdom of Ash. And that changed from when I pushed the play button. Just like at a restaurant, I got it down to 2, and that's what came out. I'm going to go Kingdom of Ash, which is the final book of the Throne of Glass series. She masterfully weaves all of the threads back together into a completed story. And there's apparently I love the tragedy.
About Kingdom of Ash. I do think you love the tragedy. She
also
chose
that.
The last Hobb book as her favorite as well.
I didn't know that. Maybe it's just that's the most
you
recent
need the culmination.
In my mind. I don't know. I do need the culmination. I think it's an exceptional book.
See, now I think it's Empire of Storms, also in the Throne of Glass series, where she connects the dots. The Kingdom of Ash is where you see the outcome of those connections. But she does all of the connecting in Empire of Storms, which is absolutely an Empire Strikes Back book again.
But I don't like those. I don't.
Everyone's down.
I need the resolution.
But at the end of it, you see where she has pulled all of the threads that she had, Aelin, the character, and has tied them together and has come out with this plot. And all of these pieces had to fall together just right. And to me, that for mass and plot development, that is the icing on the cake. Mm-hmm. That is where she really, to me, wraps everything up the best. And of all of the books, it's Empire Storms, having all of those threads come together, and everybody's just devastated, and everybody realizes all of the things that she has done for years and years. She has been preparing for all of this. It is done so well, that reveal. But it ends where your heart's just been ripped out of your chest, and you're just like, oh.
I need the resolution.
Because then to pick it up in Kingdom of Ash, and you're just like desperate, and oh no.
But I'll say, because this is the tie-over for me though. Because you're right, that is an exception in Roman book. Yes. Kingdom of Ash and Empire and Tower of Dawn are the two that I go back to reread again and again and again. Those
because you get the resolution.
Yeah,
nobody wants to go back and read Empire Storms unless you're committing to reading.
I like resolution. I can't help it. I am what I am.
You do.
I like resolution. So is Empire of Storms?
Empire of Storms, I think, because I just think if we're looking in terms of where she is shown the best, shined the best in terms of writing ability, it's Empire of Storms to me. I mean, but Air of Fire is good. Queen of Shadows. You hit that third book in that series, and I really feel like you just can't go wrong with the rest of the books. I mean, I think.
Well, I also think House of Earth and Blood was well written.
Yeah,
the first one.
I think it was. Yeah, no, I think it was good. I think she could have made some other decisions regarding, just pacing. Yeah, it's a little end heavy. You could have paced that maybe a little bit better, but that's just a small criticism. I still very much enjoyed my read of Earth and Blood.
Favorite animal sidekick?
Abraxas for sure. He's the most developed.
He's hilarious.
But little Sprinx is so cute though too.
Okay, that's also true. I do love Sprinx.
He is so cute.
He's like, I do love him. He's so funny.
He's really funny.
He reads because he reads the way you picture like the horse in Mulan. Very expressive face, like
not as grumpy.
Not quite as grumpy.
He's like Ferdinand the Bull.
Yeah. He's fun. But Abraxas is Abraxas is 100% my favorite.
I mean, for sure.
Okay. Worst individual book. I think we agree.
Oh, that's not where you were going to say.
This is see where Rachel
she has changed.
Because I was going to say 100% Silver Flames. But then Rachel, as she usually does, laid out her very thoughtful reasons for why it's this one. And now I'm like, yeah, it's this one.
That one snowball scene isn't going to save this whole book. And I understand that it's a novella and it's super short. And why would I even talk about it? But like, seriously.
It's the beginning of the character change.
So dirty. Ugh.
It's the beginning of the character change for me for Rhys and
Feyre.
Feyre, which bothered me in Court of Silver Flames. But this is where it starts. When they like blackmail her into coming for Christmas and they don't get her a present.
And see, I know like originally Amanda had Silver Flames, but like, okay. Let's we've already talked about this book before. But to me, there are still things that you enjoyed about this book. You enjoyed the female relationships.
I liked
you enjoyed the House of Wind. So there were some positives here. Some of her interactions with Cassian were well written. Was there too much sex on every surface imaginable? Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You could cut like 400 or 500 pages.
I mean, but here's the thing. And it just depends on what you're looking for as a reader. If that's what you like, go for it. We talked about, we don't mind good spice, but I like it with more of a plot too, and so this just failed on the plot.
And it's such a different tone than the rest of the series. But I agree with Rachel that this is the beginning of that.
Garbage.
It's the beginning of the turn away from the first three into something else that we didn't like.
But to me, there was nothing really redeemable.
Well, and I
Except
originally
their little snowball fight. Blah,
well,
blah,
and I
blah. That's
originally
like
thought
5 pages.
that this was fine in the sense of like I don't really think of this as part of the series. Like it's like a for the fans extra release story, but no, it's definitely the weakest of her published pieces.
Yeah, I didn't like that one.
Okay. So there are 2 series that are still going. There is A Court of Thorns and Roses, which has at least 2 books, and there is the Crescent City series, which has 1 more book.
Mm-hmm. It's just going to be a trilogy.
What is the plot line that you most want to see resolved, aside from obviously like what happens with the main characters per se? Because like obviously she's going to resolve like Hunt and Bryce. We're going to find out what happens. We're going to find out what happens with Fairy and Reese and the Brits. Okay.
I feel like Farah and Reese, they're done.
Done.
Their story
okay,
is
so
done.
what do you
They're sidelined at this point.
What do you most want to see?
Are we predicting?
Well, I don't know that I can predict. I need
What do you
to
most
know.
want to see? Okay. I need to...
What do you need to know? I need to know why this dragon is so important and why does Flynn care so much. I really want to know what
so
I want to
minimal.
know. I know, but I really want to know where this like she's a very unique character. There's nobody else like her. Clearly this has got to be important, and Flynn is way overly attached to something that seemed like the obvious thing that she was going to do. But I want to know what's going to happen. I also want to know. Yeah, I'm going to leave that. That's my number 1. My number 2 is I really want to understand the purpose of the Therian plot. And I thought that was going to involve the River Queen, but now it might involve the Viper Queen. And I just really want to understand why he's in there. But that's number 2 because I for sure want to know about the dragon. That's my number 1.
He could dive off a cliff in terms of how important he is to the plot.
I don't understand. He was in the book an awful lot to not, I mean, other than to witness at the end, but like.
I feel like he served his purpose in the first book when he's done. Just to find out about a body. You know what I mean? Because he's in the water. That made sense. Yeah. The rest of it.
I don't understand, but I really want to know about the dragon. That's my number 1. What's yours?
I got to know about Adis. I got to know about that flipping cat. I got to know. The demon. All right?
Yeah.
So, like, we know that there's some kind of overall thing going on with Jessica and Adis, who they really are. And I am desperate for that storyline. I want to know what's going on. And so we see more of a conversation happening between them at the end of Earth and Blood, and very little is done. So we think that we see Adis, but it's not really Adis. It's somebody else impersonating Adis. So where has he gone? And the big thing about Adis, and what I think is interesting, we're going to talk a little Easter eggs going on, is that a cat watching or a cat being in scenes with libraries is featured in all 3 series. Whoop. Adis is somebody he can travel different realms. Whoop. And has he been watching? And we know that Jessica's library that she has that was moved and vacated, there are books in her library that have been featured in Throne of Glass.
Whoop. Look at you dropping these little.
And then you have
you
have the connection between Azrael's short knife that he has, his truth teller, and the star sword, that those 2 things are supposed to go together at some point, and they're in different realms. So
We're together now.
I mean, there are some very interesting connections with all 3 books, some Easter eggs, and we know that Maas can play the long game.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm very interested to see what level of crossover we're going to get. Oh, goodness, sorry, that was a little awkward. Get all your weight behind your legs.
Don't
Sorry.
worry, that's his middle name.
So I really want to see how Adis connects. I do feel like he's going to be something that is a connecting factor that's going to link all of these 3 different realms that we've been talking about. There's all kinds of crossover. Like there's the Asteri could be linked to Amryn. She could have been the one that was on the missing seat.
Sister.
I don't know. But I mean, it's just fascinating. I would really like to see what's happening with all of this.
I like how you started with one story and then said basically the whole plot of Crescent City.
Did I?
You said you started with the cat and then you're like, but the whole thing.
Well, it's his connection to all of these things. Adis is fed into Jessica, and that Adis is connected to these other books. And yeah, I mean, the only thing that I went off on was Azrael's Truth Teller and the Star Sword, which is interesting. But we already know those things go together. But Adis is still a character that hasn't been explained in Jessica. I'm going to tack her on just because we know that they know things that other people don't know.
Well, Sarah J. Maas,
we know that they know.
We're ready.
All right.
We, as much as we have critiqued some of this, we still really love your stuff.
Oh, for sure.
Keep it coming. Thanks for joining us for Fae May.
Join us next week when we are going to talk about our plans for June. Both of us will be traveling, so we're going to do something a little different. We're going to be talking about some of the books we're planning on reading for June, and to kind of give you a heads up if you'd like to read along with us, that would be great. So we look forward to having that conversation with you next week.
Bye.